Do you want to speak English confidently and see rapid improvement? Imagine waking up one day and realizing that you can understand movies, conversations, and even complex articles without struggling. Many learners spend months or even years trying to improve, yet they feel stuck. They practice irregularly, forget what they learned, and follow random methods that lead nowhere. The secret isn't in studying harder. It's in mastering consistency and creating a clear plan that you can follow every single day. When you dedicate yourself to small, focused actions consistently, progress becomes inevitable. You'll notice improvements faster than you imagined, your confidence will grow, and speaking English will start feeling natural. Today, you'll learn exactly how to structure your practice, avoid common pitfalls, and develop the habits that will make you a master of English. By the end of this lesson, you will understand why planning and discipline are the real keys to success, and you'll be ready to implement them in your daily routine. Every successful English learner you know has one thing in common. They didn't wait for motivation. They created it through consistent action. Now it's your turn. Many learners fail because they focus only on memorizing words or studying randomly without a system. They practice for hours one day. Why most learners fail and how you can succeed. Many learners also fail because they skip essential steps, trying to rush through vocabulary or grammar without truly understanding it. To succeed, you must follow a structured technique. For example, first master basic sentence patterns before moving to complex structures. Practice new words in sentences rather than memorizing them in isolation. Speak them aloud, write them down, and review consistently. One student who applied this method practiced 15 new words daily, created sentences, and recorded themselves speaking. Within a few weeks, they noticed remarkable improvement in both speaking and comprehension, far beyond learners who studied randomly without a plan. Another reason learners fail is the lack of a clear feedback loop. Without tracking mistakes and correcting them, errors become habits. You can overcome this by recording your voice, reviewing writing exercises, or even getting feedback from peers or mentors. This way, every mistake becomes a stepping stone toward mastery rather than a setback. By following structured techniques and consistently applying them, you'll not only learn faster but also gain confidence, feeling like a king in your language journey. Remember, growth doesn't happen overnight. Small, consistent steps compound over time. When you maintain discipline, follow a daily routine, and practice structured methods, your progress becomes unstoppable. You'll start noticing improvements in comprehension, speaking clarity, and your ability to express yourself naturally. Every small achievement reinforces your confidence and motivation, creating a cycle of success. By implementing these strategies, you transform irregular, frustrating practice into a systematic path toward mastery. You'll no longer waste time on ineffective methods or feel stuck. Instead, you'll be progressing every single day, building the skills and confidence to speak English fluently and naturally. Take control of your learning today. Design your daily routine. Follow a structured approach and embrace discipline. Each consistent effort is a step closer to your goal. Remember, learners who stick to a system and maintain focus are the ones who truly succeed. You have the power to master English, grow your confidence, and become a king in your own learning journey. Overcome the fear of mistakes and keep improving. Many learners struggle with English not because they lack ability, but because they fear making mistakes. You might have experienced this yourself, hesitating to speak, worrying about pronunciation, grammar, or saying the wrong word. This fear creates a barrier that stops you from practicing consistently. When you avoid speaking, reading aloud, or engaging in conversations, your progress slows and frustration grows. You might feel stuck, wondering why, despite hours of study, your confidence hasn't improved. The truth is, mistakes are not your enemy. They are your greatest teachers. Every successful English learner has made countless mistakes, but they chose to see them as stepping stones rather than failures. The first step to overcoming this fear is to change your mindset. Instead of seeing mistakes as embarrassment, view them as opportunities to learn. Every error you make is a chance to correct yourself, understand the rules better, and improve your fluency. When you accept that mistakes are natural, you free yourself from hesitation. You no longer hold back from speaking or writing, and every attempt becomes a building block toward mastery. Confidence grows when you act despite fear. Next, you need to embrace daily practice. The more frequently you speak, write, and read in English, the faster you overcome fear. Start small. Speak to yourself in front of a mirror, record short audio clips, or practice simple conversations with friends or online partners. At first, errors will happen, and that's perfectly normal. The key is to keep going. With every day of consistent practice, your fear diminishes and your confidence strengthens. Discipline is your ally here. You must commit to showing up every day, even when you feel nervous or hesitant. Tracking your progress is another powerful technique to conquer fear. Keep a journal or notes of the mistakes you make and review them regularly. Notice the patterns in your errors and actively correct them. Over time, you'll see improvement, which reinforces your confidence. For example, if you notice you consistently mix up tenses, focus on exercises and speaking drills targeting those tenses. Recording yourself speaking also helps you identify pronunciation mistakes and correct them systematically. You'll realize that mistakes are no longer intimidating. They are measurable, fixable, and part of your growth process. Another strategy is to celebrate small wins. Each time you speak without hesitation, use a new phrase correctly or understand a complex sentence, acknowledge it. This builds a positive association with learning and reduces fear over time. Confidence grows not in leaps, but through repeated small successes. Remember, even kings in language mastery started with uncertainty and countless errors, but they kept progressing because they didn't fear mistakes. Visualization can also help. Picture yourself speaking English fluently, making minor errors but correcting them naturally and expressing yourself clearly. When your mind sees this success repeatedly, your fear loses its power. Plan your learning to stay on track. Many learners struggle with English because they don't have a clear plan. You might feel motivated one day, but the next day you lose track and forget what to study. Without a roadmap, it's easy to get lost, waste time, and feel frustrated. You study random words, skip grammar practice, or try to memorize long texts without understanding them. This lack of structure slows your growth, and often learners give up before they see real progress. The key to consistent improvement is planning your learning effectively, so each day contributes to your mastery and confidence. The first step is to break your learning into small, achievable goals. Trying to learn too much at once leads to overwhelm. Instead, focus on manageable targets. Learn 10 new words today, practice 2 sentences, or listen to a 5-minute audio. Each small goal compounds over time and builds your skills steadily. By consistently achieving small targets, you gain confidence and stay motivated. Think of it as building blocks. Each block supports the next, and soon you'll have a strong foundation in English. Next, set milestones to track your progress. These milestones act as checkpoints that guide you and show how far you've come. For example, your first milestone could be to comfortably use basic greetings in conversation. The next could be to form simple sentences about your daily routine. The following milestone might be holding a 5-minute conversation without hesitation. By setting these incremental targets, you transform a seemingly impossible journey into a series of achievable steps. Each milestone reached reinforces your sense of accomplishment and discipline. Gradually increasing the difficulty of your tasks is another essential part of planning. Don't stay stuck at the beginner level. Challenge yourself consistently. After mastering basic vocabulary and sentence structures, start reading short articles, listening to podcasts, or writing simple essays. Each new challenge strengthens your skills and builds resilience. The key is to increase difficulty step by step, so you never feel overwhelmed, but you also continue growing. This disciplined progression ensures that you are constantly moving forward toward mastery. One effective example comes from learners who schedule their week intentionally. For instance, they might dedicate Mondays and Wednesdays to speaking practice, Tuesdays and Thursdays to grammar and writing, and Fridays to listening and reading. Weekends can be used to review and consolidate everything learned. By following such a structured plan, learners not only practice consistently, but also cover all aspects of the language evenly. This prevents gaps in knowledge and accelerates confidence, helping you speak like a king over time. Another common mistake learners make is failing to review past lessons. Planning isn't just about what you will do, it also includes what you have already learned. Regularly revisiting previous material reinforces your memory and ensures long-term retention. For example, transform your English with consistency and planning. You've learned the importance of consistency, planning, and structured practice in your journey to mastering English. Yet knowing the strategies is only half the battle. The true transformation comes when you apply them consistently. Many learners struggle because they understand the theory but fail to implement it. You might feel motivated today, but without follow-through, progress slows and frustration builds. The secret to success is turning knowledge into action. By committing to daily practice and disciplined planning, you create a system where every effort compounds into real mastery. The problem most learners face is that they study sporadically and without structure. One week they may practice diligently. The next, they skip days or switch methods without completing them. This inconsistency makes improvement feel slow and discouraging. You can overcome this by setting a clear routine that incorporates listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Assign specific times each day for practice and stick to them like a king guarding his territory. Consistency is your most powerful tool. Every day you show up, you reinforce your skills and build confidence. Another challenge is neglecting the connection between planning and action. Many learners plan theoretically but fail to follow the plan in practice. You can succeed by aligning your actions with your plan. Break down your learning into small, achievable goals, such as mastering 10 new words, practicing 5 sentences, or listening to a short audio clip. Track your progress and adjust your plan as needed. By taking structured steps daily, you ensure that your efforts lead to tangible improvement and your growth becomes measurable. Let's take an example. A learner who followed a consistent planned schedule devoted just 30 minutes a day to speaking and writing exercises. They tracked their mistakes, reviewed vocabulary, and gradually increased difficulty. Within a few weeks, their confidence soared, their pronunciation improved, and they began thinking in English naturally. Meanwhile, learners without structure and discipline remained stuck, practicing haphazardly and lacking measurable growth. This demonstrates the power of applying consistency and planning. They turn effort into mastery. The solution is simple but requires discipline. Each day, dedicate time to your English practice, follow your milestones, and maintain a balance between different skills. Review past lessons, reinforce weak areas, and gradually increase the difficulty of exercises. Celebrate small achievements. They motivate you and reinforce your confidence. Discipline transforms everyday actions into habits, and habits build mastery. When you follow this process, progress becomes natural and inevitable. The result is a transformation that goes beyond just learning English. You will notice confidence in speaking, clarity in thinking, and mastery over expressing ideas. Every small step you take compounds into significant growth over time. By consistently applying the strategies you've learned, structured practice, daily routine, reviewing mistakes, and challenging yourself, you not only master the language but also develop a mindset of perseverance, discipline, and confidence. You become a king in your own learning journey, controlling your growth and achieving results that once seemed impossible. Call to action. Now it's your turn. Start today! Create your personalized plan, allocate dedicated time for consistent practice, build a daily English practice habit. Many learners struggle with English not because they lack ability, but because they fail to make practice a daily habit. You might start strong on one day, studying vocabulary or practicing speaking, but then miss the next day or get distracted by other responsibilities. This irregular practice slows your progress and makes it feel like learning English is harder than it actually is. You may wonder why, despite putting in effort, your fluency isn't improving. The truth is, mastery comes from consistent, daily action, not occasional bursts of effort. To grow, you must commit to a routine that turns practice into a natural habit. The first step is to set a fixed time for practice each day. Choose a time that suits your schedule and stick to it without excuses. Whether it's 20 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes during lunch, or an hour in the evening, the key is consistency. When your brain knows that English practice happens at a specific time every day, it begins to expect and adapt to this routine. You'll find that showing up becomes easier and motivation is no longer a barrier. Discipline, not fleeting motivation, is what creates lasting results. Another problem learners face is starting sessions without a clear focus. Randomly opening an app, reading a paragraph, or memorizing words without structure wastes time and reduces effectiveness. To solve this, plan your daily practice. Allocate time for listening, speaking, reading, and writing. For example, spend 10 minutes on pronunciation exercises, 10 minutes on new vocabulary, and 10 minutes on listening or conversation practice. By following this structured approach every day, you cover all essential skills and gradually improve without feeling overwhelmed. Many learners also underestimate the power of tracking progress. When you record your speaking or keep a journal of your learning, you can see how far you've come. This tracking is crucial for building confidence and reinforcing the habit. For instance, if you record yourself reading a short passage every day, after 2 weeks, you'll notice your fluency and pronunciation improving significantly. This positive feedback strengthens your commitment and motivates you to continue the routine. A powerful example comes from learners who commit just 20-30 minutes every day, rather than sporadically practicing for hours. One student dedicated a consistent 30-minute slot daily for listening, speaking, and writing exercises. Within a month, they not only expanded their vocabulary, but also gained confidence in speaking naturally and making fewer mistakes. Meanwhile, learners who practiced sporadically for longer periods struggled to retain knowledge and felt frustrated. This shows that daily consistent effort beats occasional intense study every time. To make your habit stick, combine your practice with triggers or reminders. Place your study materials where you'll see them, set phone alarms, or join a language group online that encourages daily practice. These triggers act as cues to initiate your routine, making consistency automatic. The more you link English practice to a daily habit, the less it feels like a chore, and the more it becomes a natural part of your day. Finally, celebrate small wins daily. Each new word you use correctly, every sentence you speak without hesitation, and each paragraph you write. Focus on active learning, not memorization. Many learners struggle with English because they rely too heavily on memorization instead of active learning. You might spend hours trying to memorize long lists of words, grammar rules, or phrases, only to forget them the next day. This approach is frustrating and ineffective. Memorization alone doesn't build fluency, confidence, or the ability to use English naturally in conversations. To truly grow and master the language, you need to shift your focus to active learning, where you apply knowledge in meaningful ways every day. The problem with rote memorization is that it creates passive knowledge. You might be able to recall a word or rule in isolation, but when you try to speak or write, it disappears. This leads to hesitation, fear of mistakes, and a lack of confidence. You may feel like you know English, yet in real-life situations you struggle to express yourself. To overcome this, you must apply what you learn immediately, turning passive knowledge into active skills. The solution is to use words, phrases, and grammar actively in sentences and conversations. Instead of memorizing apple, practice using it in context. I eat an apple every morning. Speak it aloud, write it down, and repeat until it feels natural. This method ensures your brain not only recognizes the word, but also knows how to use it appropriately. Active application strengthens memory, builds fluency, and boosts confidence. Another key aspect of active learning is engaging with the language regularly. Read short stories, listen to podcasts, or watch videos in English, then summarize what you understood in your own words. This exercise forces you to think in English, recall vocabulary, and form sentences actively. Over time, this builds mastery and transforms passive knowledge into usable language skills. Consider the example of a learner who tried to memorize 50 new words daily. At the end of the week, most words were forgotten because they were never applied. When the learner shifted to active learning, creating sentences, speaking them aloud, and writing mini paragraphs with the new words, the retention skyrocketed. Within weeks, they could recall words easily and use them confidently in conversation. This demonstrates the power of applying knowledge instead of merely memorizing it. Another effective technique is speaking aloud every day, even if it's just to yourself. Pronunciation, sentence formation, and fluid expression improve dramatically when you vocalize your learning. Reading silently can help with recognition, but speaking aloud transforms recognition into production, the key to fluency. Combine this with writing exercises like journaling or describing your day in English. Writing reinforces sentence structures and vocabulary while strengthening your active recall. To further boost active learning, practice thinking in English rather than translating from your native language. Describe what you see around you. Talk to yourself about tasks or mentally narrate your day. This habit forces your brain to actively retrieve and use English words and structures, building mastery and confidence over time. Discipline plays a crucial role here. Active learning requires consistent effort and intentional practice. Show up and learn from experts and mentors. Many learners try to learn English by following random sources, watching random videos, copying different techniques, or jumping from one app to another. This scattered approach leads to confusion, wasted time, and slow progress. You might feel motivated, but without proper guidance, your efforts don't produce the results you want. One of the fastest ways to accelerate your learning is to learn from experts and mentors who have mastered the language and the process of teaching it effectively. Following experienced teachers allows you to avoid common mistakes, adopt proven strategies, and make steady, measurable progress. The problem is that when learners try to figure everything out on their own, they end up practicing inefficiently. They may memorize words, watch videos, or attempt exercises without understanding the correct methods. This random learning creates gaps in knowledge and slows growth. You may feel frustrated when you realize that, despite hours of study, your speaking or comprehension hasn't improved significantly. To succeed, you need to follow structured guidance from experts who can teach you the right techniques, correct your mistakes, and provide feedback that accelerates mastery. The solution is to identify reliable mentors or teachers and practice their methods consistently. For instance, if you follow a qualified English instructor, you can learn how to build sentences correctly, improve pronunciation, and use vocabulary in real-life contexts. Experts also provide strategies for active learning, tracking progress, and building confidence, which are difficult to discover on your own. By following their methods faithfully, you save time, avoid confusion, and make faster progress toward fluency. Consider the example of a learner who spent months studying random videos online but felt stuck. When they started following a mentor who provided structured lessons, daily exercises, and consistent feedback, they noticed rapid improvement. Within weeks, their pronunciation, vocabulary usage, and sentence formation improved dramatically. This learner realized that learning from an expert allowed them to bypass trial and error and gain mastery efficiently. Another key strategy is to actively implement the methods you learn from experts. Don't just passively watch or read. Practice daily, apply the lessons in speaking and writing, and track your progress. For example, if an expert introduces a technique for practicing tenses, use it every day in your exercises until it becomes second nature. By following expert guidance and applying it consistently, you turn knowledge into mastery. Learning from mentors also builds confidence. Knowing that you are following proven methods reduces doubt and hesitation. You no longer need to question if you're doing the right exercises or using the wrong approach. This clarity allows you to focus fully on practicing, making mistakes, learning, and growing. Confidence grows because your progress is based on structured, reliable methods, and every day of practice reinforces your skills. Discipline is essential when learning from experts. It's not enough to watch or read lessons occasionally. You must follow their guidance daily. Track your progress. Consistently, many learners put in hours of study but feel like they are not making progress. You might be one of them, practicing daily, memorizing words, reading articles, and watching videos, yet still doubting whether your English is improving. This frustration happens because without tracking your progress, your efforts can feel invisible. You may not notice small improvements, and this lack of visible growth can lead to demotivation and even quitting. Tracking progress is the key to maintaining motivation, understanding your strengths, and identifying areas for improvement. The problem is that many learners practice randomly without keeping a record of what they've achieved. They might learn new vocabulary one day, practice speaking the next, and then forget both without reviewing. When they try to measure improvement, it seems like nothing has changed. You can avoid this trap by keeping a journal or log of your learning activities. Write down what you practiced, the new words you learned, the grammar points studied, and any speaking exercises you completed. Recording your progress creates a clear picture of your effort and achievements. One effective solution is to mark daily or weekly achievements. For example, if you learned 10 new words today, note them down and create sample sentences using each word. If you completed a listening exercise, write down what you understood and any mistakes you made. Over time, reviewing these notes will reveal clear patterns of growth and areas that need more focus. By visualizing progress, you gain motivation and a sense of accomplishment that fuels further effort. Another important technique is weekly review sessions. Set aside time at the end of each week to go through your journal. Identify areas where you improved, challenges you faced, and skills you need to strengthen. This structured reflection ensures that your learning is not random but purposeful. For instance, if you notice repeated mistakes in verb tenses, you can dedicate the next week to focused practice on that skill. This approach turns your learning into a continuous cycle of growth, improvement, and mastery. Consider the example of a learner who kept a detailed journal of daily practice. Each day, they recorded new vocabulary, sentences they constructed, and speaking exercises completed. By reviewing weekly, they could see measurable progress. Their pronunciation improved, vocabulary retention increased, and confidence soared. In contrast, learners who did not track progress felt lost, unsure of what they had learned, and struggled to stay motivated. This demonstrates the power of tracking. It transforms uncertainty into clarity, frustration into confidence, and effort into measurable growth. Tracking also helps in setting realistic goals and milestones. When you see your progress visually, it becomes easier to plan the next steps. For example, after consistently tracking new vocabulary, you might set a milestone to use all learned words in a short paragraph or conversation. These tangible goals make learning more structured, actionable, and rewarding. By following a tracking system, you take control of your growth and ensure steady improvement. Use mistakes as learning opportunities. Many learners hesitate to speak or write in English because they fear making mistakes. You might have experienced this yourself, pausing mid-sentence, doubting every word, or avoiding conversation altogether. This fear slows your progress and prevents you from building confidence. The truth is, mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are your most powerful tools for learning. Every error you make gives you an opportunity to identify gaps, correct them, and grow stronger in your language skills. The problem is that learners often see mistakes as embarrassment or setbacks. When you avoid making errors, you also avoid practice and improvement. Speaking cautiously, skipping exercises, or avoiding new words might feel safe, but it keeps your progress stagnant. To succeed, you must shift your mindset. Embrace mistakes as essential steps toward mastery. Understanding that errors are part of the journey allows you to take action boldly, speak confidently, and learn more effectively. The solution begins with analyzing your mistakes. Whenever you make an error, whether in pronunciation, grammar, or word choice, take note of it. Identify why the mistake happened. Was it a misunderstanding of a rule, incorrect usage, or a lack of familiarity with the word? By analyzing mistakes carefully, you transform them from obstacles into precise insights about what you need to practice. Next, correct your errors and repeat exercises. If you mispronounce a word, practice saying it aloud several times. If you make a grammar mistake, write multiple correct sentences until the rule becomes second nature. Repetition ensures that your brain internalizes the correction, turning temporary knowledge into permanent skill. Active correction coupled with consistent practice accelerates mastery and builds confidence faster than error-free but passive learning. Consider the example of a learner who avoided speaking due to fear of mistakes. They started keeping a log of errors during practice. Every mispronounced word, wrong verb tense, or misplaced preposition was recorded. Each day, they reviewed the mistakes, practiced correct usage, and repeated exercises until confident. Within weeks, their fluency improved, hesitation vanished, and speaking in English became natural. This demonstrates the power of seeing mistakes as stepping stones rather than obstacles. Another strategy is to celebrate learning from errors. Each correction is evidence of growth. Instead of feeling embarrassed, acknowledge the progress. You now understand a rule you didn't know before, or you can pronounce a word correctly after repeated practice. This positive reinforcement strengthens motivation and builds a mindset of resilience, which is crucial for mastery. Fear of mistakes often comes from comparison with others. Remember, even kings of language learning made countless errors when starting. What sets successful learners apart is their discipline to analyze, correct, and repeat, turning each mistake into a stepping stone toward fluency. By focusing on improvement rather than perfection, you accelerate learning and gain confidence to tackle more complex skills. Finally, incorporate English into daily life. Many learners struggle with English because their exposure is limited to occasional study sessions. You might practice for an hour or two a day, but then return to your normal routine where English isn't used. This limited exposure slows fluency, reduces retention, and makes real-world communication challenging. To truly master English, you need to incorporate it into your daily life, turning learning from a task into a natural, immersive experience. The problem is that learners often treat English practice as separate from their daily activities. They memorize words, complete exercises, or watch a lesson. But once the study session ends, the language disappears from their mind. Without continuous exposure, you forget what you learned, struggle to recall vocabulary, and hesitate when speaking. This gap between study and real-life application is why many learners fail to gain confidence and fluency. The solution is to integrate English into your everyday environment. Start by reading in English daily, articles, short stories, or social media posts. Don't just passively read. Engage with the text, highlight new words, make notes, and create sentences using what you've learned. Reading regularly exposes you to natural sentence structures, vocabulary. Set achievable. Short-term goals. Many learners struggle with English because they set big, overwhelming goals without breaking them into manageable steps. You might dream of speaking fluently in 6 months, but when faced with the enormity of that goal, it feels impossible. This pressure leads to frustration, procrastination, and even giving up. To achieve mastery, you need to set achievable short-term goals that guide your daily practice and give you a sense of accomplishment along the way. The problem is that big goals often feel distant and unattainable. Without smaller milestones, it's hard to see progress, stay motivated, or understand exactly what to focus on. You may spend hours studying, yet feel like nothing has changed. This lack of clarity reduces confidence and slows growth. To overcome this, you must break your learning into weekly or daily targets, creating a roadmap that ensures consistent progress and measurable results. The solution begins with identifying clear, specific short-term goals. Instead of aiming to speak fluently in 6 months, set targets like learning 10 new words a day, practicing sentence formation for 20 minutes, or completing 1 listening exercise daily. These smaller goals are achievable, trackable, and allow you to experience success regularly. Each completed milestone reinforces your confidence and motivates you to continue. Another key strategy is to focus on one skill at a time within your short-term goals. For example, dedicate 1 week to improving pronunciation, another to mastering verb tenses, and another to expanding vocabulary. By concentrating on manageable areas, you avoid feeling overwhelmed and can track measurable improvement. Discipline in following these targets ensures steady growth and prevents burnout. Consider the example of a learner who initially aimed to master English in 3 months, but felt lost and demotivated. They shifted to weekly goals, practicing speaking 5 minutes daily, writing a short paragraph each day, and reviewing 15 new words weekly. Each completed goal provided a sense of achievement. Within a few weeks, their fluency, vocabulary, and confidence improved dramatically, showing that short-term milestones transform overwhelming goals into actionable steps. Tracking progress is crucial. Maintain a journal or checklist of your weekly goals and mark each achievement. Reviewing completed targets reinforces motivation and highlights growth areas. For instance, if you consistently complete all weekly vocabulary exercises but struggle with speaking fluently, you can adjust your next week's plan to focus more on conversation practice. This approach ensures that every effort contributes directly to mastery. Another tip is to celebrate small wins. Achieving even minor goals creates positive reinforcement, which strengthens your commitment to the next milestone. Each success, no matter how small, builds confidence and solidifies the habit of disciplined, goal-oriented practice. Remember, kings achieve mastery not by leaps, but by consistent, focused steps. Setting short-term goals also reduces the fear of mistakes and failure. When your objectives are manageable, errors feel like part of the process rather than setbacks. You can analyze mistakes, correct them, and incorporate the learning into your next milestone. This cycle of goal setting, practice, and correction accelerates growth, builds confidence, and ensures measurable progress. By breaking your learning journey into achievable short-term goals, you create a roadmap that guides daily action, tracks progress, and maintains motivation. Discipline, consistency, and structured milestones transform a daunting task into manageable steps, empowering you to master English steadily and confidently. Each completed goal builds fluency, reinforces knowledge, and strengthens self-assurance. Take action today. Set your first weekly goals. Choose a small number of new words, speaking exercises, and listening practices. Track each achievement, reflect on mistakes, and adjust targets for the next week. Follow this process with discipline, like a king managing his domain, and watch your confidence, skills, and mastery grow steadily. Short-term goals turn overwhelming dreams into achievable reality, making your journey to fluent English focused, motivating, and unstoppable. Boost your confidence through practice. Many learners struggle with English not because they lack knowledge, but because they lack confidence. You might know the words, understand grammar, and read fluently, yet hesitate to speak, fearing mistakes or judgment. This fear slows your growth, creates hesitation, and limits your fluency. To truly master English, you need to boost your confidence through consistent practice. Confidence transforms knowledge into action, enabling you to speak, write, and interact naturally without fear. The problem is that learners often focus solely on accuracy, avoiding speaking or writing until they feel ready. This mindset prevents practice. And without practice, mastery cannot happen. You may feel frustrated as you watch others speak fluently while you remain hesitant. Fear of mistakes or judgment keeps you stuck, even if your theoretical knowledge is strong. Overcoming this requires a proactive approach to build confidence step by step. The solution starts with speaking in front of a mirror. This may feel awkward at first, but it allows you to observe your pronunciation, body language, and sentence formation without judgment from others. You can practice phrases, dialogues, or even narrate your day aloud. By repeatedly speaking to yourself, you train your brain to think in English, reduce hesitation, and become comfortable with your own voice. Over time, this practice builds a strong foundation for speaking confidently in front of others. Another powerful strategy is to record yourself. Listening to recordings of your speech helps you identify mistakes, track improvement, and notice subtle changes in fluency and pronunciation. For example, you may hear that certain words are mispronounced or sentences are incomplete. Recording allows you to correct errors and reinforce accurate usage. Each playback highlights progress, giving you visible evidence of growth and boosting self-assurance. Consider the example of a learner who feared speaking in English. They started by practicing in front of a mirror and recording themselves daily. At first, mistakes and stumbles were frequent, but by reviewing recordings and correcting errors, their fluency improved. Within weeks, they felt confident to speak with peers, participate in conversations, and even give short presentations. This demonstrates that confidence grows with intentional, consistent practice, not by waiting to feel ready. Celebrating small wins is crucial. Each sentence you speak correctly, each paragraph you write fluently, and each successful conversation should be acknowledged. Positive reinforcement strengthens confidence and encourages you to take on more challenging tasks. Remember, kings build mastery by recognizing every small victory. They don't wait for perfection before acting. Another tip is to practice in low-pressure environments first. Speak with supportive friends, language partners, or online groups where mistakes are seen as learning opportunities. Gradually transition to more challenging situations. This incremental exposure reduces fear, reinforces discipline, and builds the courage to communicate effectively in any setting. Confidence also comes from daily consistency. Even 10-20 minutes of focused speaking, recording, or self-practice every day compounds over time. Each session reinforces skill, reduces hesitation, and strengthens your ability to express yourself naturally. By combining regular practice with reflection and celebration of progress, you transform anxiety into self-assurance. By practicing in front of a mirror, recording yourself, celebrating small wins, and gradually increasing exposure, you create a powerful cycle of growth. Confidence becomes a habit, not an occasional feeling. You transform knowledge into action, hesitation into fluency, and fear into mastery. Over time, speaking English feels natural, effortless, and empowering. Take action today. Speak in front of a mirror, record a short video of yourself, review mistakes, and celebrate each improvement. Follow this routine with discipline, like a king perfecting his craft, and watch your confidence soar. Every small effort compounds, accelerating fluency and mastery. Confidence is your bridge from knowing English to using it fearlessly. Start building it today and become a powerful, confident English speaker. Combine listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Many learners struggle with English because they focus on one skill at a time, maybe just reading or memorizing vocabulary, while neglecting speaking, listening, or writing. You might spend hours reading articles but hesitate when speaking, or practice writing but struggle to understand spoken English. This unbalanced approach slows growth and limits mastery. To accelerate learning, you need to combine listening, speaking, reading, and writing, creating a balanced daily practice that develops all skills simultaneously. The problem is that isolating skills creates gaps. Reading without speaking builds comprehension but not fluency. Listening without speaking or writing limits retention and active usage. Writing without reading or listening may result in awkward sentences and incorrect usage. You might feel like you are studying diligently, yet your ability to communicate effectively remains limited. To overcome this, you must design a practice routine that integrates all 4 skills daily. The solution begins with creating a balanced schedule. Allocate specific time for listening, speaking, reading, and writing each day. For example, you could start your morning by listening to a short podcast or watching a video in English, followed by reading an article and highlighting new vocabulary. Then, practice speaking by summarizing what you listened to or read, and finally, write a short paragraph reflecting on the content. This combination ensures that each skill reinforces the others, making learning holistic and efficient. Another effective strategy is active engagement across skills. Don't passively listen or read. Take notes, pause to repeat sentences aloud, and write down your own sentences using new words. By speaking, listening, reading, and writing about the same topic, you reinforce vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation while internalizing language structures naturally. Active engagement accelerates mastery and builds confidence. Consider the example of a learner who focused only on reading for months but struggled to speak. When they started integrating all 4 skills into a daily routine, listening to news, reading an article, summarizing it aloud, and writing a short reflection, they noticed rapid improvement. Vocabulary retention increased, fluency improved, and confidence soared. This shows that combining skills leads to faster, more effective learning than isolated practice. Another tip is to use real-life content to practice all skills simultaneously. For example, watch a short video in English. Note down key phrases. Listening, reading, discuss it aloud with yourself or a partner, speaking, and write a short summary or opinion, writing. This method ensures that the language becomes functional, not just theoretical. By connecting skills to meaningful content, you internalize English naturally and efficiently. Discipline is essential. Daily, structured practice ensures that no skill is neglected. Even dedicating 15 to 20 minutes per skill each day compounds into significant improvement over weeks. Track your progress and adjust your schedule to focus more on weaker areas while maintaining balance across all 4 skills. Consistent practice builds fluency, mastery, and confidence steadily. By combining listening, speaking, reading, and writing into a balanced routine, you accelerate progress and gain holistic mastery. Each skill reinforces the others, vocabulary becomes internalized, pronunciation improves, and comprehension deepens. You move from knowing English theoretically to using it fluently and confidently in real situations. Balanced practice turns scattered effort into measurable growth. Take action today. Create a daily schedule that includes all 4 skills. Listen actively, read attentively, speak boldly, and write consistently. Follow this structured, balanced approach with discipline, like a king mastering his craft. Each day of combined practice strengthens your skills, builds confidence, and accelerates mastery. By integrating listening, speaking, reading, and writing, you transform your English learning into a complete, unstoppable journey toward fluency. Stay consistent and never give up. Many learners start with motivation and excitement, but quickly lose momentum. You might have felt this yourself, studying English enthusiastically for a few days or weeks, then skipping sessions, losing focus, or doubting progress. This pattern is common, and the truth is that consistency is the single most important factor in mastering English. Without long-term commitment, even the most effective techniques and mentors cannot guarantee success. The problem is that learners often expect instant results. When they don't see rapid improvement, they get discouraged and quit. Irregular practice, skipped exercises, or changing methods frequently prevents growth. You may feel frustrated thinking you are not good enough or that your efforts are wasted. This is why many learners never reach fluency. They underestimate the power of steady, daily progress. The solution is to commit to a disciplined daily routine. Set aside specific times each day for reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Treat these sessions as non-negotiable appointments with yourself. Even if you only have 20-30 minutes, consistent effort compounds over time, producing remarkable results. Daily practice reinforces vocabulary, strengthens grammar, and builds fluency steadily. By following a structured plan, you ensure that your learning is continuous and focused. Another key strategy is reminding yourself of your goal regularly. Write down why you are learning English and what success looks like for you. Perhaps it's speaking confidently with international colleagues, passing an exam, or traveling without language barriers. Keeping this vision in mind fuels motivation, especially on days when you feel tired, distracted, or unmotivated. Visual reminders, notes, vision boards, or even a short mantra help maintain focus and determination. Consider the example of a learner who practiced sporadically for months but saw little improvement. They shifted to a daily routine, 30 minutes of reading, 20 minutes of listening, 15 minutes of speaking, and 15 minutes of writing. Within weeks, their comprehension improved, sentences flowed more naturally, and speaking became confident. This demonstrates that discipline and consistency outperform talent or intermittent effort. Even small daily actions compound into significant fluency over time. Tracking progress reinforces consistency. Maintain a journal or checklist of your daily practice. Seeing a streak of completed sessions motivates you to continue and prevents gaps. For example, marking each day you practiced, noting improvements or challenges, and reflecting weekly helps maintain momentum and keeps your goal visible. This system transforms scattered effort into a focused, measurable journey. Consistency also builds confidence and mastery. As days turn into weeks and weeks into months, you notice tangible improvement. Mistakes reduce, vocabulary expands, sentence formation becomes smoother, and speaking flows naturally. Confidence grows because your progress is visible, tangible, and undeniable. Like a king ruling his domain with steady control, you dominate your learning environment through consistent, disciplined action. Finally, embrace patience. Fluency and mastery are not achieved overnight. Every expert you admire followed a consistent routine over time. Success in English is a marathon, not a sprint. Daily practice, coupled with reflection, correction, and steady application, ensures lasting improvement. Even small steps taken consistently build momentum and lead to mastery faster than occasional bursts of effort. Now it's your turn to take action. Start today. Commit to a daily English routine that includes reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Even 30-60 minutes each day, done consistently, will compound into significant growth. Treat this routine as sacred. Protect your practice time and follow it with discipline. Remind yourself of your ultimate goal. Visualize speaking fluently, thinking in English, and using your skills confidently in real-life situations. Let this vision motivate you every day. Keep a journal, track your progress, celebrate small wins, and reflect on how far you've come. Each day you follow your plan. You reinforce discipline, mastery, and self-confidence. Do not quit when challenges arise. Every learner faces obstacles, mistakes, or slow days. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is consistency. Be relentless, follow your routine like a king protecting his kingdom, and keep moving forward. Trust that every small effort compounds into lasting fluency and mastery. Start right now. Write down your daily practice plan, set reminders, and commit to following it without fail. Embrace mistakes, celebrate wins, and push yourself to speak, write, read, and listen every single day. Your dedication today determines your mastery tomorrow. Stay consistent, never give up, and watch yourself transform into a confident, fluent English speaker.